Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of the Big Debate. The debate today will be between the BiG debate, Tres Catorce and Amabo Cecilia. So I will be one of your moderators today, and the other moderator is going to be Omar Bayen. One of our guests, Tres Catorce, is here while we are currently waiting for our other guests who should be joining us in a moment. In the meantime, I would let Omar introduce himself as well as introduce Tres. As soon as our other guest is here, she will be introduced as well before we get into the debate. So, Omar, over to you.
Good evening, ladies and gents. I'm Omar Bayen, and I'm no stranger to the platform, the Big Debate. Like Dr. Terence Agbo said a couple of seconds ago, we are waiting for Ms. Cecilia Amabo before we can start. We have Tres Catorce already, who seems to be born ready. He's here, he's waiting. So I'll be your co-moderator, and I'll be asking both candidates or both debaters some questions as well.
Good.
So we've tried to call Ms. Cecilia Amabo, she's not picking up. So we'll give her a few more minutes, see if she turns up, then we'll go straight right into it. So please, our audience, be patient for a few minutes.
And while we are waiting for Ms. Cecilia, I would like to say a few words of wisdom. Today's debate will be thrilling if it happens. It will be controversial, and overall, it will be educative. The objective of the debate is to engage our audience, and such that both our audience as well as the moderators as well as the contestants will learn a thing or two, because both of them will be discussing a topic from a different perspective with alternative views. So we'll have to learn a bit on how they view this topic. Recall that the debate is not a courtroom where declarations are made. Neither is it a parliament where policy statements are made. We are not here to make any policies. We are here to debate, to discuss, to share ideas, and to educate each other. In a debate, it is usually the discussion of controversial views. We therefore demand respect. Respect to our audience. Respect from our audience as well. More specifically, respect to our two contestants who have sacrificed their time, studied a lot extensively to get this exchange. We also demand that both of our contestants respect each other during the debate. We do accept diverse views, because even in the then West Cameroon in the 1950s and 1960s, we do understand that there were a plurality of political parties. Some with all the political parties were fighting for, had different objectives. Eventually, the part of Cameroon we are going to be talking about ended up in East Cameroon following elections. So therefore, multiplicity of ideas or plurality of ideas or diverse views didn't start today. As a result of that, and as such, we do demand respect. We therefore as well and strongly discourage any forms of abuse, insults, name calling, disparaging comments from our audience. On that note, we say welcome once more, and we will still be waiting for our guest. We sincerely apologize for all inconveniences. She had confirmed with me yesterday that she will be here, and we have her profile already to introduce her. Maybe Omar should go ahead and introduce Tres Catorce. Oh yeah, he did already. And shout out to everyone out there patiently waiting. I see Achukis up warming up with a short PE. I see for now present here for the first time. Grace Ajeli is also there. Mula is also there. Shout out to Abu Free as well. Okay, thank you, Abu Free, for keeping us informed that she is coming. She should have texted us anyway, but we'll be patient. Shout out also to Mabel. I know you are always there. You are always the first person. So we are still waiting. We please do accept greetings from our co-moderator of last week, Mbole, as well as our PRO who does extensive amount of work in the background, Ndip Ayuk. We do accept greetings as well, and shout out to Frun Nix, who have been doing a very awesome job in animating. So thank you once more for your patience. And maybe while we wait for our
That's a very good point you made, Dr. Terence, about respecting each other. Let me just add that if you feel strongly about a particular issue, because right here on this platform there is no wrong or right. If you feel strongly about an issue, trust me, you always find people on the big debate platform who will be ready to debate with you. It's very easy to point fingers from behind your laptop or your smartphone, but it's never easy to come online and bounce ideas off each other and talk and debate. So if you feel strongly about an issue or a topic, bring it to us. Trust me, Tres Catos or myself, and we have a lot of people who can debate with you any day, anytime. Pick the date, pick the time, we shall indulge you. So
up to you. Thank you very much for Omar. The platform is here ready for you people. You have something you want to discuss. We are not going to restrict this platform to only political debates as we initiated. We shall also be discussing economic health issues as well. So please, if you have something you want to discuss, just let us know. We'll always find someone with alternative views. We are still waiting for Miss Cecilia. She will be here as Abu Free mentioned because she connected us to her. So I believe what she's saying is true. In the meantime, I will try to get in touch with her while we are waiting. So again, we sincerely apologize for all the inconveniences.
Maybe, and to those who don't know who Amabo Cecilia is, I'll just go ahead and tell the audience who exactly she is.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, she's spokesperson or spokeswoman for the Ambazonia Governing Council, the AGC. She has a master's degree in human rights and democratization. She's a human rights advocate.
Yep.
And she's 100% for the independence of Southern Cameroon. Well, if she's spokesperson for the AGC, that tells you everything. She's a very powerful lady.
Yes,
And we're really honored to have her on our platform. Like for the very first time, we have a lady debating here today. So really looking forward to it. So that's in a nutshell who exactly Amabo Cecilia is. You can follow her on Facebook. She's on Facebook, Amabo Cecilia. You find her on Facebook. You can go on her status and read for yourself exactly who she is. In a nutshell, that's who she is. She's a human rights advocate and spokesperson for the AGC. And as stands today, she'll be talking on independence, while Tres Catos will be talking on federalism for Southern Cameroon. So maybe if you can call her Dr. Terence Agbo.
Yeah, she just texted me, so she will be joining in the next few minutes. I'm waiting for her.
That's great.
Yeah.
Tres Catos, thank you for your patience.
To be expected. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for the introduction.
Don't you have any music for us today?
Of course, I do have music. Come on, you shouldn't be asking that. Okay. There is only one legend in Cameroon music.
Sasha Dumplex will tell you that's Lunge Lunge. Turn down the volume, Dr.
The Ambazonia get a late tomorrow.
Yeah. Audience, please share the video, please.
It'll connect in a second. So the draw with Nai.
Wider audience.
Yeah, Trace, I think you also saw the message that she said she asking for the link. Yes, it was in the group of message I exchanged between you both.
All right, she's texting out right now.
Yeah.
All right, you want to send her a message on her Facebook just so?
I did. Yeah, I sent a message on her Facebook. I sent a message. History has shown that on this platform, each time we had a delay to commence, the debate is always very thrilling and scintillating. So we also demand no one is going to make any policies here. So please do respect our contestants as well as the moderators and our other audience.
Is she gonna be here anytime soon?
I believe
she's reaching out right now, so she's asking for the link. So we've kind of guided her to
on what to do.
Yeah,
I think for you guys who do click, because I use the computer, I believe the link is just click and go, right?
If you click on the link, you should be good to go.
Okay, cool. All right, so just give me a second. Okay, she's not here because if she's here, I will have to get her in.
So the link you sent out, just make sure you send her another one. Like, click on her name in particular and send it to her.
I've sent it to her on her private message on WhatsApp. I've sent it to her on the same message with you, and she's here. But okay, so you have to click the link. You have a message. You have a message on your Facebook message, Cecilia.
I can see her. She's here.
Yeah. Just click on the link and you will get connected. Like my resident woman of God, Elise says, patience is virtue. So everyone is waiting. We sincerely apologize. As Elise commonly says, man proposes, God disposes. So I believe I'm going to dance with her today. She will be very excited that I said that. Trace.
Yes, sir.
Can you call her? I think she's here. Can you call her and ask her to click on the link?
I just saw a live comment. She's here. Just give her some time to connect. Give her some time. Yeah. It's okay. And Dr. Terence Agbo, maybe tell her to download the app as well, because on these smartphones, I have the same problem. So I have to connect on my laptop.
She needs to
Connecting the
download
first time is always very difficult. So you need to give her plenty of time.
Okay, please bear with us.
It's hard to connect the very first time.
Hello, how are you? Yeah, someone just told me you may need to download the app. That's what I've been told. Because I use a computer, so I don't have to do that. That's why. So my sincere apologies. I didn't know that, but they just told me that you have to download that. I believe it should be fine. Yeah, yes, I think if you use the computer, yes, please.
Yeah, tell her to use a laptop. She can connect straight on her laptop without downloading it.
Okay, I'm saying I will be right. I'll be on the phone with you. My sincere apologies once more. Yeah. Like when we start, as soon as you join, you can just apologize to the audience. I mean, yes, yeah. So that's okay. Yeah, he's looking for joiners. Yeah, that's okay. She's right here. You guys can see me on the phone. I'm holding the phone here so that you guys know I'm here with her. So yeah, all the professional ranters saying that she's run away. She definitely didn't. She's right here. Yeah, it's okay. I'm just being sarcastic. No one said that. That's just me. No. I sent you a link. It's on your messages on Facebook. You are going. Yeah, you click on that link. You are joining as a guest, and I will be. Yeah. If you go to the debate page, you won't be able to join as a guest. So just click on the link, and they will send me a notice. Yeah. I can. Just give me a second. Yeah, let me send it. Just hold on.
Or maybe do you want us to get out then come back in?
No, she's trying to log onto her computer. So I want to send her the link as a message again. I did send it earlier, but I have it right on. Oh no, I haven't sent. I haven't. Just give me a second. I sent you and Trace the message together. Amabo Cecilia B. Or do you have another name? I just sent it again. Yeah, that is. I just sent you a message now. Yeah. So if you click on that link, just let me know when you do. Okay. Shout out to everyone out there being patient. Shout out to Sam Nyambi for being online for the first time. I know he's watched previous editions of the debate, but he's mostly been watching the rebroadcast. Okay, yes, you are. You are definitely on. Okay, so yeah, just give me a second. I will let you know. You'll be notified to join. Yeah, she's here. Yay! Okay.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
Yes, you are in the room.
Just let me join you so that
everyone can
I
hear
can
you now.
apologize to the space.
So welcome again to everyone. Omar, maybe you do introduce both of them again for those who are joining, please.
Okay. To all those joining us just now, good evening. Good evening, Cecilia, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Omar. And I really want to say sorry to the viewers. I honestly, the time I thought it was going to be 8:30 my time and 9:30 p.m. Amber time. So I'm really sorry. I got confused with the time. So sorry about that.
That's fine, no problem at all. We're waiting for you.
Yeah, the audience have been patient. They've been waiting for this forever. So
it's an honor for us to wait because you are the very first lady to grace our platform. So thank you very much for coming out here today. Yeah. So I was just telling our audience a few seconds ago who you are, and we understand that you are a human rights advocate. You've got a degree in a master's degree in human rights and democratization. So human rights basically your expertise.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
And obviously you're going against 13-14, who is no stranger to our platform. 13-14 is a political consultant in his own right and the host of the Pillow Talk. And just before I hand you over to the moderator himself, just a quick reminder that our platform, we keep it very civil and very respectful. So you've got no reason, you're a powerful woman, you've got no reason to be intimidated by 3 men over here. So
not at all. That's not in my vocabulary.
Since the audience have been waiting, I'm not going to keep them waiting any longer. So thank you very much, Cecilia. Thank you, 13-14, for joining us. And I'll hand you over to Dr. Terence Abo.
Okay, thank you once more and welcome, Cecilia. We are very sorry for the little confusion. We sincerely apologize to our audience as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the popcorn. A big debate is about to start. We know these two people are very, very strong people. And the format today is going to be a little bit different from the other days. So we are going to ask the same question to our two contestants. Because we definitely know they have very diverse views, they are going to have different follow-up questions. Omar will be asking most of the follow-up questions to Cecilia. If need be, I will get him. And I will focus more on 13-14. And the questions are not from far away. The topic of the debate itself has question in it. So I am going to start with you, Cecilia. This is the first time you are joining our platform. Tres has been here. He's one, I would say he's one of the people who pioneered this forum or the big debate. So if you don't mind, the first question goes to you. And the question is was right on the flyer, which is, what is the way forward for the Southwest, the current Southwest and Northwest regions of Cameroon? Outright independence or federation?
Thank you very much, Dr. Go. And Tres, hey, I've been kicking your ass in a video like forever. So this is the real thing now. And I want to use this opportunity again to thank you all for inviting me to your platform to talk on this all important topic. And to go back to your question, I just want to say the way forward right now for the current situation in Southern Cameroon is an outright independence. I stand strongly for that. I believe for that, and I know that is the only solution for the current crisis in Southern Cameroon now, with a lot of reasons, which of course we are going to come into it if that is going to come in subsequent questions. But if you also want me to bring them out now, I would also love to do that.
I would say you start. Because we still have like 3 minutes to go. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Go ahead. You still have a lot of time. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Like I said, the only solution for the Southern Cameroon's crisis right now is an outright independence, because the people of Southern Cameroon have a right to self-determination, and they have been living in annexation, in a second annexation for a very long time. And I think they have reason to restore their independence, and that they have done already. We know that Justice Frederick Ebong did this already in 1999. He declared the restoration of the independence of Southern Cameroon. This was repeated by Barrister Godi Dinka in 1984, and Comrade Sisiku Ayok Tabe did the same last year in 2017. So I think that the only solution to this problem is an outright independence, because the people of Southern Cameroon they have the right to their own self to enjoy their independence, because they are a people that have been recognized by the international community since 1954. So I think that outright independence is the only solution. They tried federation and it failed them. And they have been living with Cameroon for the past 57 years. And as a people, I think they have a right to be a country of their own. And they have done this. And now the only thing is to defend, to make sure that this independence is recognized and respected by the international community and recognized by other countries in the world. So I still stand very strongly that Southern Cameroonians need independent, outright independent at this time. There is no room for federation at this point. We have lost a lot of lives in cause of this struggle, and that will be a blow to those who have died trying to make sure that we regain our identity, we regain our uniqueness, our culture, and we respect our history, which is, of course, the Anglo-Saxon heritage that we inherited from Britain. And I think that if we come today to start talking about federation, it's actually something like a fallacy to me, because we tried it before, it failed. And the only solution to this, to stop the killings, to respect each other, is an outright independence.
Cecilia, you go 1 minute.
Okay, I'm saying that the only solution right now is an outright independence in Southern Cameroon. There is nothing like federation or decentralization or whatever. The only solution for the people of Southern Cameroon now is to maintain their independence, which they have declared in these 3 instances I quoted before.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Thank you very, very much. That was some stuff. So I'm going to ask you this. We already have the question. So what is the way forward for the southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon? I call it Cameroon with the UN. And why do you think that is the way forward, ideally?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, Omar Bayan. And thank you, Cecilia. Your status in the Ambazonia since it's a fictitious country, it's a cyber country, it's a virtual country, I'm going to call it an organization for good measure, since we don't have, there's no actual country that we can look at and say it's actually Ambazonia. So it's going to be a cyber country for this debate. And being that you're an integral part and a sport, it's an honor to have to debate you on this. Now, to answer the question, before I get to the way forward, there are a few things that you did mention. You mentioned outright independence, and you cited a few names. I was taking that. You said Comrade Ayok Siseko, who was the former leader, the self-declared leader, because we don't know who voted for him, who's in the jails of Cameroon right now. He declared independence. We don't know his authority. You just don't wake up and declare independence. Godi Dinka, you mentioned him as well, and one other person. You mentioned self-determination, and I would agree with you that self-determination is a UN charter that says people have a right to self-determination. The fact that you have a right to something does not mean you have to execute it. There are other measures that go in place before you execute that self-determination in the case of Cameroon, independence. You also mentioned annexation and restoration of independence, because Southern Cameroon was never independent. We had never existed as an independent country. When we talk of restoration, we need to let the audience know that we are going back into a trust treaty, the treaty that existed before Southern Cameroon got independence, because under the UN 16, I have it right here, under the UN Treaty 1608, Southern Cameroon was only able to attain independence. There was a referendum that happened that was approved by the UN. And along the line, Southern Cameroonians have, well, not the large majority of Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians, I would always use quotes with them, Ambazonians have distorted this 1608. It specifically said that there needed to be a referendum, and there was a referendum. And
Excuse me, Trey. So I would like you to answer my question. Why do you think federation is the way forward? I don't think you are answering the question.
Like I said at the start of my statement, she made a lot of things that needed to be addressed, and then I would answer your question. Okay. I need to address what she said and then answer your question. It would be hardy to just answer your question and not correct some of the things that the lady, Mrs. B had said. So I was on the point of restoration. Either we are going back to the trust treaty that the UN had, and that England had over us, and I don't think England is going to accept to take us again under her control, because we were never an independent people. Now, the people recognized by the international community, I really don't know what that means, because there is no country as Ambazonia. So the international community does not recognize any country as Ambazonia. Okay, now to answer your question, why does federation work? Or why is federation the way forward? I am a firm believer that once you are faced with a problem, you don't run away. You try to tackle the problem and resolve the problem. I live in a country that's 400 years old. I live in the United States of America. It's 400 years old. And America has faced cessation. It's not the first time. And they did not just secede because it comes up. The state of Texas always wants to secede, but it's not going to happen, because we will sit at the dialogue table and we will try to solve that problem. So once there's a little problem, this is the first conflict that has actually really happened in Cameroon. And the first course of action is for a sect of people who call themselves Ambazonian to actually run away. I think that adults come together, sit on the table, and chatter a way forward, because it means if they go and form that little country, if they're granted their independence and they go and form that country, you can rest assured there's going to be problems at some time. Maybe between Northwest and Southwest, right, which are the two regions that make up that particular country. So once there's a problem or a conflict between Northwest and Southwest, they're gonna say, no, I want to go my separate way. I need to be my own little country, or maybe I want to go back and join the larger Cameroon. So what is best? As difficult a situation it is, let's come together, sit on the table as adults, and charter a way forward. And the way forward is gonna have to be federation, or in a lesser situation, regionalism. But federation is my best option because it still gives you autonomy. We could have two-state federation, which is what I push for. We can have a two-state federation so we can still retain that autonomy, elect our governors, elect our assembly that still controls our territory, but without the need of having to establish a new country. When I look at Southern Sudan, I don't want Southern Cameroon to be a replica of Southern Sudan.
Okay, thank you very, very much. I know from what Cecilia discussed and why she thinks independence is the way forward, Omar has some follow-up questions.
Okay, my sister Cecilia, I have one question for you based on what you said, that independence is the way forward for Southern Cameroon is outright independence. Okay, it is now clear that Mr. Biya is going to be there for another 7 years. So since we are going for independence, do you think that Ambazonians or Southern Cameroonians have the means to sustain a war for another 7 years? Because remember, at the moment, we really do not have external support like Biafra had support from France and Libya, like even the UPC had support from Ghana until until Nkrumah was overthrown, and you have South Sudan who had support from the US, especially George Bush. So do you think we have the means to sustain, to keep fighting this war of independence? Because clearly if we want independence, the war has to rage on. So do you think we have the means to sustain an independence fight? You know what I mean?
Or simplistically, how do you intend to achieve the independence? We know the conditions.
First of all, Mr. Omar, I want to state here that Southern Cameroon is an independent state. It's not like we are going to have independence.
So why are people fighting?
Let her finish.
Why are people fighting?
People are fighting to restore that independence because that independence has been suppressed by Republic of Cameroon. So they are fighting to restore that independence.
So how?
And I have a note that
how did Southern Cameroon get their independence? Sorry for interjecting. How did Southern Cameroon get their independence, and when did they get it, if I may ask?
Okay, great. I don't know which question I'm going to answer first.
Okay. Sorry.
Mr. Omar.
Yeah, go with Omar's question.
Okay. Mr. Omar, thank you for the many examples you cited, and to tell you the truth, all these countries you cited that they got support from this either one of this country or another. They didn't just get up one morning when they just started the fight for their independence and got support immediately. The people saw that these people were a determined people, they were resilient, and they became a contender, and they realized that these people, they actually are bent on achieving independence. And they made it, when they became a contender, the international community or these countries that actually supported them saw the need to step in and support these people. And to answer if we can sustain this war, yes, we can sustain it. And Ambazonians are going to be the primary investors in their own war. And when they become investors in their own war, they are going to become a contender, and then the international community or a country or an international community country will recognize them and they will sponsor that war. Yes, we can fight because it is a war that the people are willing to fight. The people have the spirit to stand because they know that they want to reclaim their identity. we will fund it our own level, and when we make it in such a way that the international community sees our determination and our resilience, they will come in to support. Ghana didn't just get support when it started its war for independence. Yes, they went through by themselves before the international community came in. The other countries you cited didn't get up the same morning that they decided to fight for the restoration of their independence and got international support. No, they didn't just do that. They saw the resilience of the people, the determination of the people to fight for the cause that they are fighting. That is when these foreign powers came in. So yes, we will fight, we will sustain it at our own level, and when we make it so the land so ungovernable, the international communities will come in, countries will come in to support us. And to go back to the question from Dr. Agbo, I'm sorry, that name always gets me confused. So Dr. Terence, I'll go with that one.
Call him Terence, yes.
Terence,
yes.
fine. I prefer Terence, yeah. So yeah, I had a few.
Oh, great.
Before I go to Trace, so our people out there like numbers. So yeah, so you mentioned I believe in maybe your first answer also that Southern Cameroon had independence. So I have one question. How did they get independence and when did they get independence?
I want you to know that, first of all, in 1954, Southern Cameroon was already recognized as a self-governing government by the British, still under the British. Okay?
Yeah, and not independence. Just making sure. That is not independence. Self-governing is different from independence.
You are asking me a question, and I want to take
let her finish. Let her finish. Let her finish, please.
So if you keep cutting me, I'm not going to put forth my points well. So if you just allow me to do that, and thank you. So like I said, in 1954, we were already a self-governing country. We had a government of our own. We have a military. We have the legal system of our own functioning. We have territorial borders, okay? Which these are the things that make a country. So now in 1961, I heard Tres talked about a referendum, but in 1961 we had, before 1961 we had the plebiscite, the United Nations plebiscite that we actually organized, which stated that we were going to join get independence by joining La République du Cameroon, okay? So by voting for that plebiscite, we got independence by joining La République du Cameroon, and that was in 1961. So that is how we got our independence.
You got 30 seconds. You got 30 seconds, please. 30 seconds more. 30 seconds more.
Oh, great. That I just answered the question, that we got our independence by joining La République du Cameroon through that plebiscite that we actually undertake.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Perfect.
The next, I have a question for you, Tres. So, Tres, you think, according to you, you think the way forward is a federation. You gave some reasons. And the question I have for you is, I understand in 1961, I believe in October 1961, there has been which disappeared eventually. So how, and one of the main architects of the disappearance of the federation is the current head of state of Cameroon, because he started working as a top government official in the Republic of Cameroon, then Federal Republic of Cameroon in 1965. And when he eventually became president in 1982, he single-handedly changed the name of the country, thereby wiping out the existence of any federation. So how do you intend, or how do you, what are your propositions to achieve the federation you are talking about? Because it existed and it's no longer there.
Right. So there are precedents to things that have happened in Cameroon, and I will cite just a few. I'll begin with the GC board. We used to have a centralized educational system. And then the Anglophones were like, you know what, we needed our own system because the system in place right now is not working for us. And there was blood and there was sweat and a lot of people died for us to have that GC board. And eventually we did get that GC board. Be that it's going to change in the next couple of weeks. But we did have that GC board because of the hard fight and sweat to reorganize and say we want our own institution. Another thing is the 1996 Constitution. It was after the AAC2, I would think. After the AAC2, we decided that centralized system of government is not working. And we needed to decentralize because the power was so concentrated in Yaoundé. Now, it's been over 24 odd years since that period of time, 22, I think, or so years since the passing of the decentralization law to create a state that is not as centralized as we want, as a state that is not centralized. So we know the fight that we put in. Right, Cardinal Tumi and Dr. Muzu, they created the Tumi Muzu committee that was supposed to have an all Anglophone conference. We needed to have, first of all, a referendum as all Anglophones. So we have an understanding of what it is that we want. We don't know the majority that wants independence. We don't know the majority that wants federation. We don't even know the majority that wants unity or to stay in the way the system is. So out of that conference was supposed to have a referendum. And I will tell you, that is the first thing that we need to do to understand what it is that we as a people, we want. So we need a referendum of Anglophones and Anglophones only. We don't need a national referendum that takes into account all Cameroonians alike because they're in majority. If they vote for decentralization, we lose. So we have to decide our fate because we were allowed to come into this union. So before Ambazonia takes over the show, before Ambazonia suppresses us with their demand for independence, let us know that the people actually want independence through a vote. So through the Cardinal Tumi and Muzu committee, we should do a plebiscite, we should do a referendum. And it should be 3 things or just 2.
So as a follow-up question, so the people of the Southwest, Northwest regions, so I keep on calling that for reason because that is how it is called now, of the Southwest and Northwest province, will hold what you call a referendum and decide what they want, and then what?
So once we decide that we want independence, if, for example, they decide that they want independence, that everybody is supposed to align and join Ambazonia. But until that point, right, we cannot all be on the Ambazonian bandwagon. So if they decide that they want federation, then the push has to be a national dialogue. And we tell then the BR, CPDM failed regime, because it is a failed regime. We must say Ambazonia is existing today, and this war is existing today because
you've got 30 seconds, bro. You've got 30 seconds.
What happened to the first federation that happened?
Just giving 30 seconds. You see, you have an opportunity to give a rebuttal after this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, honestly.
Yeah, just 1 second. It's got 30 seconds. Then after that, you can have a rebuttal.
The Ambazonian chair lady was introducing me. It's typical of them to interrupt people, so I need my 30 seconds. So
yeah, go ahead.
I was saying that if the people decide that federation it is, then we will present a plan, because what Ambazonia has not offered us is a plan. So we will present a plan to the failed BR regime that this is what.
Excuse me, Press. Your time is up, but I will start with you with a follow-up question because I know Omar has a question for Cecilia. So I know before we got to the current situation around the late 2016, I know a group of people were out protesting. Some of them had posters for federation. They ended up in jail for at least 8 months. A lot of them are still in jail now. So how do you think, from what you have discussed, because I believe at that time most people were talking about federation. That was what they wanted, and ordinary teachers and lawyers' rights. Most of them ended up in jail. So how do you think asking for the same federation that landed people in jail and others killed, because I know a student was killed in Bamenda, a lot of students were raped in Moliko Boya. How do you think it will that will be achievable? And then the other question is, what happened to the first federation?
All right, so I will start with your second question. We were cornered by a deceptive leader who is a failed leader. We all know that it's been established, right? But that's what we have. Those are the cards that we are dealt, and that's who we have as leader. And he just won another fraudulent election for the next 7 years. So that is those are our realities that are palatable. We can touch those realities. So we are dealing with a failed regime, a failed leader, and everything that you can imagine. So he cornered the people into canceling that first federation. That does not mean that we cannot fight to restore that. That is something that we can restore. What Ambazonia is trying to restore is the trust treaty. So we need to be again under the UK because that's where we came from. So that is not where I want to be. I don't want to be under the trusteeship of the United Kingdom. Now, coming back to your first question, that the question on a way, still again on the way forward, because people were protesting and they ended up in jail. We must understand that we need a mediator. We can, and I don't believe in Western mediators. We can take the African Union. We can take other countries that have had similar problems and have them mediate. We don't always have to run to the white man to solve our problems. We should look at a brother.
Yes, you got 30 seconds.
We should look at countries that are next to us that have been able to establish a democracy to assist us. We need a middleman that will table our concern to the failed regime and put pressure on them. Then we can ask the international community to put pressure on this failed regime so that they can restore us to a point of federation, because the only restoration that we have is trusteeship or federation. Those are the only two.
All right, thank you.
We have.
Thank you, 13-14. I would like to give our sister Cecilia the opportunity. She was going to give a rebuttal a few seconds ago. So Cecilia, go ahead and give a rebuttal to everything 13-14 just said.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. First of all, 13-14, I just want to let you know that you don't federate with people like La République du Cameroon and succeed. The first federation came, it was supposed to be like a federal united Republic of Cameroon, bringing these two countries together. Don't forget what happened. You cannot federate with people like La République du Cameroon or any people with French heritage. You don't. And besides that, when you say we need we now need people to come and mediate, we need a mediator. The likes of Agobala, they created a consortium to speak for the people. It was like the mouthpiece of the people. What happened to them? When the teachers and lawyers first hit the street, was it even about federation? No, they were just asking for the restoration or to better this thing, the educational system and the legal system, until it turned to federation. And when those who opened their mouth and asked for federation, what happens to them? They ended up in jail. What happened to the first federation that we also think that we had before? Who created the federation? La République du Cameroon imposed on us a federation, because that federation, Southern Cameroons did not have a hand in drafting the constitution that was governing that same federation. Don't forget that the United Nations and the government of England, France, and all these, they were supposed to come together to work out terms of the federation and choose the government between these two governments that was going to be the leading government of the federal United Republic of Cameroon. But what happened? This is to tell you the kind of people we are dealing with in the past 56 years. La République du Cameroon, under their lordship, as they called it that time, Amadou Ahidjo, drafted that constitution single-handedly. Did Southern Cameroonians participate in the drafting of that constitution? Were they in the house, in the parliament when it was promulgated into law? It was enacted into law. Were they part of it? They just came into it They imposed in on them. The La République du Cameroon became the government of that federation, which when the United Nations didn't, the agreement that the United Nations was supposed to put in place, the agreement did not take place. So it was just an amendment of the constitution of La République du Cameroon that came, and it was imposed on the people of Southern Cameroon. Okay, when the so-called federation came into existence, what happened? What voice did the people of Southern Cameroon have? You said something that we have to make our own legal system, our educational system. What happened to the legal systems that Southern Cameroon had before 1961? What happened to the educational system, the cultural heritage of the people of Southern Cameroon, the economic system of the people of Southern Cameroon before 1961? All these things were either closed up, the companies, the booming economic system of Southern Cameroon was destroyed, that the funds confiscated by the same people that they federated with, that imposed a federation on them. Don't forget, Ahidjo.
You've got 60 seconds. Sorry, you've got 60 seconds, Sisi. You got 60 seconds.
I'm just asking him. He said who voted Sisiku Ayok Tabe as a leader. I asked you who voted Paul Biya as the president of La République du Cameroon. Because you and I know that Ahidjo came on the stage on the 2nd of November 1982, and he told the people of Cameroon that it is with honor that I am introducing to you what? My constitutional heir. Who voted him? Did you cast your vote? Who casted his vote for his him becoming the president? Okay, let's say later on there was an election to keep him in power, but who made him president of La République du Cameroon? Ahidjo, single-handedly. Did you vote for it? Did you approve of it? Was your consent sorted? No, it wasn't sorted.
Thank you. That was.
You don't federate with people like La République du Cameroon. It can work.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Cecilia.
It can work now.
Yeah. So, Omar, do you have a question, or can I ask a question?
Can I address what a few things that she just said before? You can give me a few seconds.
Just
go ahead. Then.
Omar, please. I just want to be with the moderator. I will want to have equal time to talk the way you give it to Trace. Let it be balanced. We have to take care of this issue.
It's been balanced so far. Do you feel cheated?
Okay. If you I'm sorry, Cecilia. No.
If you feel cheated, if you have 2 more minutes, if you think that
you want to make it so that no, don't worry, I don't feel
okay.
Because I'm gonna let you talk.
Because we still have time, so if you think that we have cheated you by
we have plenty of time to address all your concerns, Cecilia. Don't worry about it. We'll handle it. If you feel it's not intentional. Yes, Tres14, go ahead and address what you.
So she said a lot of things that sound very interesting, very sweet.
You got 1 minute, Tres14, 1 minute. You got 1 minute to do that.
Okay, so she said a lot of things that this is the excitement button that Ambazonia pushes. When she says that nobody elected Biya when he was appointed, that is exactly true. But I don't know if that is where Ambazonia wants to measure, if that's a bar that Ambazonia wants to measure, that we want to be exactly like Biya, so we're going to appoint our own leader. Because if you're comparing with Biya, then that's a sad situation for us. We need a democratically elected president. We don't need to have example. There's nothing that Biya has done that I will be able to say it's a good example for anybody to follow. Biya is not a good example for anything, because we can look at Cameroon and say it is a failed state, right? So when you say he was appointed, yes, he was. But should Siseko also be appointed? No, he shouldn't. No. Right? And even if it was just the diaspora, because Ambazonia only exists in the diaspora, just the fact that you see people carry flags in Cameroon, we know how Cameroon is. If you offer them something else, they would show you something else. You cannot just vouch that those people are strictly Ambazonian. And besides, there are people with guns around them, so they might be intimidated. Now, so because Ambazonia is strictly a diaspora thing, the diaspora should at least had the courtesy to vote, right? We should have sought that. We should have accepted that he was democratically elected by diasporans because they went out to the polls and voted for the leader. One morning, a guy was appointed and he was traveling the world, and the next day he was arrested. End of story. And there's a new guy right now. We don't know when he'll be arrested.
20 seconds.
So we cannot have a situation where we keep appointing. If you want to be a country, you need to set the bar higher than the country you're trying to run from.
Great. I do agree with you 100%. And just, you know, Ambazonia doesn't have a government yet, and they don't have a president.
Good. Thank you for that clarification. So can we go? Are you satisfied? Are you satisfied with the time now, Cecilia?
Oh, sure. Let's go ahead. Let's do this.
Okay. Yeah. So
you had a question for Cecilia, because we need to get some questions from the audience.
Yeah.
The audience has got a lot of questions. We need to get some questions from the audience as well.
Yeah.
So go ahead and ask your question, Dr. Terence.
Yeah, a very short question. So the question is about the concept of the Constitution. I understand from history, a lot of history books out there say that when the whoever was representing the West Cameroon in Fumban had the Constitution a few days before, but didn't give this Constitution to the other people of the Southern Cameroon. It is in a lot of history books. So how would you say people didn't have the Constitution before and not even discussing it, even though they had it before going to Fumban, where the final talks for following the reunification took place?
Is that for me?
That Foncha had that then Prime Minister of West Cameroon.
Who's the question for?
Who's the question for?
Yeah, Dr. John Foncha had the Constitution before going to Fumban, but he didn't.
Who is the question for?
To
Who is the question for?
To Cecilia. So there was something like a Constitution. He had the Constitution, but he didn't show it to his people.
Well, like you said, history holds it, and I want to tell you that Fumban in itself was a sham. And if Foncha had a constitution and did not present to the people, it's because the terms of the constitution did not work well and did not reflect a federation. If you have a federation, the two parties come together, they draft the constitution, and the two parties, they decide what enters into the constitution. You don't single-handedly draft a constitution and then you want to impose it on people. John Foncha holding back the constitution and not telling the people it's because the terms of the constitution were not workable. They didn't work for Southern Cameroons, and there was no need to adopt such a constitution in Southern Cameroons. Fumban itself was a sham. That is all what I can say in respect to that question.
Okay, thank you very much for your response. So now we increase the time for questions for the audience due to popular demand. And so Omar has a few some questions from the audience. Who will start?
Okay, my first question, Cecilia, is for you. That's specifically directed to you from Mfona IG. And his question is, you are spokesperson for the Ambazonia Governing Council. Basically, who is leading the fight in Ambazonia? Who is the leader of Ambazonia? Is it the interim government or the Ambazonia Governing Council? How does it work? Do you want to throw more light on that, please?
Yes, I just want to tell that whoever that sent that question that we are in a state of a revolution, that we have different movements in this revolution fighting for the same cause. Ambazonian Governing Council is one of the nationalist movements, just like IG is one of the groups fighting for the restoration of the independence of Southern Cameroons. The IG has its own leader, which is Dr. Sako Ekome, like the Ambazonian Governing Council has its leader, which is Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba. So Ambazonia as a whole, for now, to the best of my knowledge, does not have a single leader. We have leaders of different movements, nationalist movements, that make up what we called some months back, the G7 in DC, or what we had before in the name of SCAPU, that kept metamorphosing itself. So each of these movements have the leader. It's just like you're asking me who is the leader of Morris or who is the leader of LCYL, which is today APAM and I'll tell you it's Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga. It's the same thing like I'll tell you the leader of Consortium right now is John Ba Akuru, and that of Raul, La Republic of Ambazonia is Edwin Gang. It's the same with the Ambazonian Governing Council, whose leader is Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba. So, like I said, these are all movements, nationalist movements, that are fighting for the restoration of Ambazonia. I hope I answered that.
Yes, you did. Just as an outside, let's hold on before we come to you. This is just a side comment. That's for me personally.
Okay.
Do you think having all these nationalist movements, like you said, do you think it benefits the struggle as a whole? Because, say for example, if you want to convince me to support the struggle, what exactly do you tell me? Who do I listen to? Do I listen to AGC's agenda, or the IG's agenda, or Maurice's agenda, or Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga's agenda? Can we not have like one voice? Can we not come under one umbrella? And I think unison is going to foster the struggle more than many different factions. Don't you think so?
Well, I will answer you in parts. That is to say, if you ask me who you should listen to, I first of all want you to know that these various movements have different ideologies, and these ideologies all work for the good of the restoration of Ambazonia, which means we can harness all of this together and we come out strong. We are not saying that we cannot come together in unison. No, nobody is saying that. But we should come together in good faith and walk in diversity, which means there are movements which believe only in self-defense as the only means through which Yaoundé can get out of Boya. We have other movements who are also there, whose base or strong point is on diplomacy. You cannot ignore that. We also have those that believe in nothing but the courtroom. We cannot ignore that as well. We harness this together, we come out strong. But when you come together not in good faith to work for the purpose of the restoration of the independence, there is a problem. That is where there is a problem. So that is why you see other people trying to remain where they are, because they are more focused on what they believe is going to bring a quick restoration than trying to come together with people who are working in bad faith. We do not refuse unity or collaboration in areas that are necessary. We only want people to come together for the better good of the people, singular good of the people, nothing else.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, Trace, I have a question.
Tescatos has a rebuttal for that. Then you can ask him your question, Dr. Terrence, please.
Okay. Thank you very much. Like the question came in, that tells you the organigram of the organization. Like I said, it's not a country, it's a fictitious country, it doesn't exist, and that's an organigram of an association or an organization that has already failed in itself. Now, when you have different factions, different set of people fighting for one agenda, it's like all of this 1,000 born-again churches fighting one Satan for God. Yeah, you see how disorganized the situation is, and that's how Ambazonia is. They cannot come together. This is, like I said, all of this thing only exists in the diaspora, in South Africa, in Europe, and in America, right? You have all of this 1,001 different factions that cannot. They want independence. There is absolutely no reason why you should see, even if you have just the faction that wants self-defense, they can split into two. They have a defense branch, which is needed. For you to acquire independence, you have to fight for it. Ambazonia is not fighting for independence. We have to make that clear. They are staying in the bushes. They are not attacking. This is not a war of territory, acquiring territory or protecting their territory, right? So they are staying in the bushes, and every now and then they ambush the military and kill a few of them every now and then. That's not a fight for independence. And you know why this is happening? Because there is no organization in place. There's just a collection of people that are just frustrated. This is a war of self-defense. The people in southern Cameroon are being slaughtered by the failed Biya regime. And if we get together, we put people to speak for us, that we need a federation, we need an institution that can have one voice, one word, that we as an autonomous people, we want to have our own state. We want to have our own governor. We want to elect our own mayors. We want to have our own agenda. We want to build our own roads, our own schools. But we don't want to have a military. We can re-educate the failed La République military. We can retrain them, because all of them need training. Because if that military was not as bad as it is, this Ambazonia fairy tale would not be existing, because they're existing because of how bad the La République military is. Because there is actually no war. It's just ambush against ambush. Ambazonia ambush La République ambushes Ambazonia. So there is really no war.
You got 30 seconds to round up.
Okay, so we need to get together. We need to keep these factions apart. We can always reduce Ambazonia back to its original position, a group of 10 people requesting for independence. We can leave them there, and then we build a federation, because we always need that majority to keep pushing. We need to keep them in the position that they are, always requesting for their independence. But we form a federated state and build our country.
Okay,
Cameroon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very much, Tres. Yeah, so I have a question for you. In his 9 minutes cameo during the presidential campaign, the current declared winner, the president of the Republic of Cameroon, who declared himself winner, said in his campaign speech that he is going to win the election, and one of his objectives is to crush the liberators. So the question here, and he has already, he's the one who single-handedly changed the name of the country. So he has also said federation is not even up for discussion. So it is not even up for discussion. So how do you think you intend to achieve the federation when the person you are supposed to be talking to has made it very, very clear that he's going to crush down your people if he wins the election and he won, and that what you are asking, federation, is not even something that needs to come up for discussion?
Like there's a local saying that even a broken clock is correct twice, right? Biya is a broken clock. We all know that he is a faulty, defective president, but we know that we have 2 opportunities that we can get him right. We got him the first time in 1996, where we instituted this constitution. It's really not a bad constitution. Cameroon has a series of good laws, but a series of bad people unwilling to implement those laws. Cameroon has the best laws on the books. The thing is, we don't have people to implement them. So we need to get together, look for the right people that can fix this country. The country needs healing. The country needs fixing, not dividing it, not splitting it into parts, because that's when it's going to get worse.
I'm not cutting you short, bro. I'm not cutting you short, please. Just to reiterate what Dr. Teresa is asking you, and it's the same thing somebody.
Yeah, a couple of people have asked that question actually.
Who Asa is asking, all you're saying is what you want to see obtained. But how exactly do you make Biya, who says no to federation, to even listen to you? What are you going to do for Biya to even consider what you are saying as an option? What exactly?
So the goal here is not just to sit in front of Biya and say we want federation and then he's gonna say yes. Biya does not function like that. We need to show the international community, because we need the international community. We need to show the international community that as a people, the Anglophone body of Cameroon is speaking with one voice and not several different voices. We are saying that unanimously what we want is a federated state. And we're putting pressure on France, United Kingdom, and the rest of Africa that matters, because they're the ones that need to oversee this. As it happened in ECOWAS when they kicked out Yahya Jammeh. We need the African community to come in and put pressure on Biya, be it economical pressure, some kind of sanctions, so that he would be forced to recognize federation as an alternative. Of course, if we just go to Biya and say we want federation, he's going to say no. but we need to speak in one voice. Bia's strength right now is because we are speaking in several voices. And why? Because we don't have that referendum to define what it is that we want. And like I said, if the people vote for independence, then we should go get the independence. Then I will be in full support of Ambazonia. Then I would say, you know what, we're going to pick up arms. And we cannot sit in the diaspora. It does not happen. We have to give up our American citizenships. We have to give up our British citizenships. Mrs. Ambo is in Europe somewhere, I think Ireland. They have to give up their Irish citizenships. Everybody has to give up their citizenships and return to Ambazonia to fight that war for independence. It's not a war on Facebook. It's not a war on social media. Once the people decide that it's federation or it's independence, then together as a people, we have to go back and fight for what it is that we wanted.
Yeah, Professor, I have a follow-up.
I want to answer to that question myself, if you do permit me.
Yes, go ahead, Cecilia, go ahead. You have the, yeah, go ahead.
13, 14.
You complained already, so ask your question.
So, yeah, let me tell you this. If you don't learn from history, history is made for us to learn from. If you don't learn from history, you'll be made history for others to learn from. So, you are talking about us not meeting, it's not about us meeting with Paul Biya to say we want a federation. Look, let me tell you something. You can't federate with La République du Cameroon. The federation that we are talking about, how long did it last? What happened to it? Did the people in those days pick up arms to make sure, or did they pick up arms fighting against that federation? It went on for 10 years. They single-handedly imposed a federation and they single-handedly dissolved that federation. When the people of Southern Cameroon came to them and said, we want you to come back to the drawing board. Let us have a united republic, a federation where we can work as brothers. They gave La République du Cameroon that option. Don't forget that is when the 1963 and 64 issue of AAC 1 and 2 came into being. How long did they give to them? That we want you to consider this thing and get back to us. Let us go back to the drawing board and know why we came together in this first union in the first place. What did the Yaoundé regime do? They ignored them. They didn't have the courtesy to even reply them, just to reply them and say, we acknowledge receipt of your concerns. How long did they stay? Up to 1999. That is when they said we can no longer stay. They gave them a reasonable time to respond. They didn't respond. That is to tell you that people like Biya, people like La République du Cameroon, anybody with a French heritage will not sit with an Anglo-Saxon person, with an Anglo-Saxon heritage person to discuss. It doesn't work. The cultures are different. The history is different. The political system is different. The legal system is different. And the educational system is different. They can never sit on the table and work as one. No, forget about this fallacy we hear every day that Cameroon is one and indivisible. That is a fat lie. That is a false lie, because Cameroon is always two and divisible. There is nothing like Cameroon is one and indivisible. It never worked before. Who are those to sit and make these laws? Parliaments come together and make the law. When the Federation of the Federation of O came into existence, the parliament, how was it made up? 40 parliamentarians from La République du Cameroon, 10 parliamentarians from Southern Cameroon. I want you who wants federation to tell me how the parliament is made up today. When the likes of Dr. Folland came up and asked that that there should be a quarter of ministers where the cabinet could be made and let Southern Cameroons be represented equally like La République du Cameroon, so that they can influence policies and influence the legislation. What happened to him? He was kicked out. When the likes of Foncha came and reiterated the need to revisit the accord of the federation or the coming together of the plebiscite, what happened? He was kicked away from his ministerial position as the vice president, and he was, and that happened to you when A.A. Joa came up and talked about Cameroon not, we are not dependent of Cameroon. What was he called? He was called an autonomist, and he was kicked out from his ministerial position. And I'm telling you today that go out there, it's Philemon Yang is still sitting there who is a puppet to Paul Biya is just because he's a puppet. If he dares stand up one day to tell Paul Biya, let's revisit the terms of the plebiscite, he will go back to Oku.
Okay.
If Atamanji comes there and talk about...
Thank you so much.
Mr. Moderator,
can you respond to that?
Yes, she said a lot, and she said a lot of things. And look, this is what I would like Mrs. Cecilia to understand. The reason why I'm pushing for a federation is because I understand the naivety, the dependent mind of the Francophone, especially the Cameroonian Francophone. They're a unique kind of dependent. You understand? They're like one of those kids suffering from some kind of a condition. That's the Cameroonian Francophone. They're not mature. And because we need cheap labor, if we have a federation where it's a two-state federation where we are developing, because of course we are going to develop as a people. We are a question asking people. We are always asking questions about stuff and pushing the button. So
56 years,
so because we're gonna develop, we're gonna build our roads, we're gonna build schools, build businesses. The 5 million Cameroonians are gonna be a small labor force to take into account how we're gonna develop that economy. So we're gonna need cheap labor coming from across La République. If you form another country, you're gonna have to deal with immigration wars because you're bringing in new citizens, and that's another problem. But if we just bring cheap labor from La République, because of course they are easily driven and they're dependent, we can build an economy on the backs of Francophones. So that's why I'm pushing that we should have a federal state where we push our agenda in our state and they can be dependent. I'm not going to be worried about what is happening in Bolova. I'm not going to be worried about what is happening in Bafsam. I'm going to be worried about what is happening in the Northwest region and the Southwest region. I want to see business. I want Buea to be a business hub, but I also want to see free travel. I want to be able to go to the far north and visit Wazapak without needing a visa. You think that's a possibility? You think that's something that we can get?
No.
Tres, I have a follow-up question for you from not this comment but the previous one. You mentioned that it might be impossible to fight for a federation in Cameroon, and you need countries like France and others to stand behind you. We understand from history and several leaked cables that France masterminded the switching from a federal country to what is now called La République du Cameroon, because that was the name of the former state. So how do you think France is going to help?
So things have changed, right? Back then, we did not have social media. We did not have the global connection that we have today to expose, for information to be exposed within a split second, to show that France was behind something. It would be on Twitter tomorrow. It would be on the newspaper. It would be on Facebook tomorrow, written in print. Macron's signature will be on there. Somebody is going to take a picture and post it on social media. So the 1960s have come and gone. We're in 2018 and soon to be in 2019. The pressure is not only going to be on France and the UK. It's going to be on other African countries that don't want another overdrawn civil war, because that's where we're going to. You asked the question that Biya declared war on the guerrilla fighters of the fighters in Ambazonia, and Omar had initially asked the question of financial reinforcement. There's no financial reinforcement. I saw a video where Eric Tato was he had generated $1,500 to send. I don't know if it was for humanitarian effort or if it was for weapons. They are still using den guns. They don't have reinforcement. So if Biya is able to organize his weak military, they're gonna crush Ambazonia in no time, and we lose the possibility of having that federal dialogue. Right now, there's a small window that's closing up. We cannot be looking. This fight is going to end at some time, at some point, because it's not a war of independence. It's a war of survival. And if you don't have the reinforcement needed to survive, you are going to die at some point. So at some point, Ambazonians are going to be boxed in.
Mr. Moderator, permit me, let me just
thank you very much, Cecilia. Thank you. Tres, we'll take a small break, and then we'll come back with the last part of the debate. You guys have done a very brilliant job, and I believe everyone who is watching out there, especially those who came early, didn't waste their time waiting for you. So we'll have a short break, and then we'll come back with the last part of the debate, which is usually proposing solutions. That will be solutions to minimize loss of life. That will be solutions to, maybe there are a lot of people living in the bushes right now, how they can get some food, or even healthcare as well. And most important to this debate particularly, I would like you guys to suggest and propose solutions to education. This is the third year that kids are not going to school. Everyone will want their kids to go to school. If all of us didn't go to school, this debate wouldn't have been taking place. So we'll come back and discuss that. Thank you very, very much, guys. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Seigneur Jésus, appelle ton frère le prophète Mohamed. Au secours, venez nous délivrer. L'heure est grave. Les Barbiens veulent braquer la constitution de mon pays.
Glass water back. Yeah, boo boo. You don't even drink for show. So they professional. Maybe that by own way to go to the closet, go drink. Don't have half glass.
Okay, everyone's still there.
Yeah.
Yes, we're right here. Yes.
Okay, so we are into the last part of our debate, and the last couple of times people have demanded that we allocate more time to this part, because to the big debate, and especially to some people out there, this is the most important part. We can argue, we can discuss, we can chit chat, but most importantly is the solution. So now we are on the solution part of the question. So Omar is going to ask Ms. Cecilia the question on solution in terms of solution for education, healthcare, and minimize the number of people dying. And I will tackle Tres. So Omar, over to you.
Yes, before we get into that, can I just say, my sister Cecilia, that was really, really impressive. I'm not trying to patronize you in any way. You came prepared. And one thing I retain from you is a quote I might have to use on somebody in the future. You will be made history for others to learn from. That was funny. Anyway, like Dr. Terence Agbo said, on our platform, we are solution driven.
Great.
At the end of, before we finish our debate, we try to look for solutions on how to minimize the number of deaths back in Ambazonia. Like we all know, we have a lot of people in the bushes. We cannot bring back the dead, but what exactly can we do to help these people in the bushes? How do we feed them? How do we, children are not going to school. What exactly do you propose to minimize the number of deaths?
Thank you so much, Omar. And yes, children are not going to school, and the villages keep being razed down by the same La Republic military, and that, in other words, means the humanitarian situation keep worsening, and the number of IDPs keep escalating, as well as the refugees. The question: how do we take care of them? We thank fellow Ambazonians who, out of their goodwill, of course, it's a responsibility they owe to themselves and to their fellow comrades, who are helping with the internally displaced person, the IDPs we have in the various beaches of Ambazonia. We have the likes of the Ayapo Foundation that has been doing an incredible job. And what can we say? We just want to encourage every Ambazonian who is living in a comfort home out there in the diaspora, that you owe it a duty to your fellow brother and sister who sits down there. We have to take responsibility to support these people in the various bushes. We have to take care of the refugees. We have to take care of our children. And just about education, to our children are not going to school. And I will tell you again, Dr. Terence, Mr. Terence, that education is not necessarily going to sit in the classroom. Education is acquired at home. 75% of education is acquired at home. Our parents gave us the best of education we need. We can, at this point, we are humans, we are reasonable people, we can't at this point be advocating the reopening of schools when bullets are flying up across our children's head, and you see that no parent will sit at home and be comfortable that his or her child is in a classroom somewhere where bullets fly about randomly and systematically and indiscriminately. So yes, we are suffering at this point with the level of education, because there are, first of all, no schools. When you want these children to go back to school, have we reconstructed the schools that have been razed down? Where do you want them to go? And do we now want to start encouraging schools under tree like they do in Ghana? No. We want our children to have the best system of education, that Anglo-Saxon system of education that will produce future leaders and leaders who can stand and debate trespassers in the future well. And yeah, we are encouraging parents to know that it's the level of insecurity is high in Ambazonia. We cannot send children to school just yet. We have to be able to regain our territory and reconstruct our schools and give our children the best form of education. So what we need to do is make sure, hasten and fund the war in Ambazonia and chase out the occupier out of our territory and rebuild our territory and reinstitute our educational system. After all, why the teachers hit the street, that problem has not been resolved. It wasn't because of lack of schools. It was because of a flaw in the educational system. The educational system lost its uniqueness, and they came out to make sure they regained that unique educational system and the Saxon system. I'm not very sure if I answered that question, because it kind of like sounded like I didn't answer the question in my head somehow, but I don't know.
Anyway, we'll let this is not actually a practical question per se. Now is a moment that we want to we know people are dying every day. We want what advice will you give to people to minimize the loss of lives? The educational question, you have answered it in your own way. Whether that is okay, it's not for me to talk here on this debate.
Don't worry about it. There's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah. So
that's not the whole,
then
the idea of this
you also mentioned about the different foundations and people sending money. So maybe you covered most of what you had to say. When Tres answers the same question, if you have anything to add, I mean, like people requested that we increase the time for this particular portion of the debate, you can still talk. I will make sure this time around that you are not cheated with respect to time. Okay, so Trace.
The moderating team keeps pacifying Mrs. Ambo. She's a strong lady. She can handle herself. She gave her answer. I think it's left for the audience to judge. The moderators, you guys just need to moderate and not pacify her. Now, in response to that, you could see how Mrs. Ambo struggled to give an answer for a solution because Ambazonia does not have a solution, either to win independence or to guarantee the return of education or healthcare for anything. They don't have a solution. They don't have a way forward. And I will tell you this, for any fight of independence, the first thing is to secure your territory. And I'll give you an example. Batibo right now has been deserted. And the guys there, I think is the 7 Qatar, I'm not exactly sure, the guys who are actually fighting there have actually driven the very bad La Republique military out of that zone. So you could take Batibo. Let's take Batibo as a case study. Those guys should secure the borders. Right? They should be able to protect the borders of Batibo as it is right now and guarantee the return of schools that the guys, the security on the ground, are able to control and guarantee that those kids are protected because they have pushed La Republique into the borders and La Republique is not no more in center Batibo. So, but the problem is they have no concept. The guys in America are sitting out here like me in a fancy AC driven house and just spewing a lot of things on Facebook. Batibo is a case example that kids can return to school. Life can return to normal in Batibo because the boys have driven out the occupiers. So if they have driven out the occupiers, why is Batibo still deserted? You need to, once you have pushed out the enemy, you need to protect the fort. You need to protect the home base. You need to protect the territory so that the enemy does not come back inside. And then once you are protecting from the borders, the inside of Batibo can return to business. You can return the people in the bushes to seek health care. You can now ask for donations to say, we have returned the people from the bushes. We need assistance for them to go to the hospitals. Kids can start going to school. But because, and reinforcement is going to come from other villages to assist the guys in Batibo, hold off La Republique at the borders. And that will be a solution for Ambazonia. But I'm not an Amazonian and I'm not advocating for that. So I cannot speak, I cannot be answering Mrs. Cecilia's question. Let me answer my own questions now.
Not the question. The question was,
we just want solution.
We're talking about solutions, not a question.
The question was about solution. It was a question on solution. I proposed to Mrs. Cecilia. That was a proposal to right. I was trying to let Mrs. Cecilia know that there is a way out for Ambazonians, but because they don't have a strategy, they think there is no way out. Now coming back to my
we do have a strategy.
And
there is no way we will capture Batibo and then we just go ahead and open a school just immediately and allow children to go and they keep hearing gunshot. That is, first of all, traumatic. It is going to traumatize those kids. First of all, what we are clamoring for is to regain the entire territory, to build a school. What schools do you want them to go attend? Trees, schools under trees, because there are no schools. They've been raised down by the same guys you're clamoring to get federation with. Those schools have been raised down by those military. If you think that you can change the mindset of those guys, then you have another 50 years to go, because it's not going to change anytime soon. We have to chase them out of our territory, rebuild our hospitals, rebuild our schools, and give an educational system that is befitting to our children. if you want them to go now, what educational
Mr. Moderator,
system do you
this
want
was
them
my
to
time.
Yeah. So
yeah, and I
okay.
Amazonia.
Okay. Now,
And
yeah, Cecilia, you see what you have done now.
Yeah, we know Ambazonians are known for this hostility, but we accommodated. But I was saying this, right? I was saying this. I cannot encourage the Ambazonian guys. The last time when I had a debate on this platform, I had the debate with Omar, who's also a moderator today, although I'm not sure if he's a moderator or he's a supporter of Mrs. Ambo. But when I had a debate with Mr. Omar, I told Mr. Omar that those guys in Southern Cameroon are fighting for survival. And that's my biggest problem right here, because I cannot ask them to put their guns down, because then the useless military of La Republique will slaughter all of them. So we are caught in a position where you have to have a peace accord for everybody to put down their weapons, because the only reason why Ambazonian guys have weapons is for self-defense. But it is being misconstrued by the Ambazonian diaspora that it's a fight for independence. It's self-defense, and they need to protect themselves because they're going to be killed. So we need to be able to first of all, create an atmosphere of peace. La Republique military puts down their weapons, Ambazonians put down their weapons, and then we have dialogue. We need kids to go back to school. We were already struggling with education in Cameroon. Cameroon is not in any sphere when it comes to education. They are not ranked anywhere top 10, top 20 when it comes to education. So all of Cameroon was already suffering when it comes to education. So we need to look at the educational system, but to do that, we need peace. We cannot talk about education without peace. And I cannot advocate for Ambazonian guys to drop their weapons since they are fighting for their survival, not independence per se. Now, I ask the general public, and because we don't trust most Ambazonian organizations, because most of GoFundMes that have been hosted has ended up in Tapang Ivor's pocket or some other person's pocket, and he could defend himself whenever he has the opportunity. But somebody has always siphoned the funds that were raised for humanitarian aid. She mentioned Aya Jr. That would be a good person that we could put money to. Anybody on this platform that's willing to donate can donate, and the international, those in America and anywhere, can donate to help those women who are having babies in the bushes in Nigeria without sanitary pads, without any kind of assistance. They need all the assistance they can get. We should start looking to bring back the people from the bushes to return to life as normal as it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a few comments to make as well with respect to the solutions. I know I didn't take part in the debate, but I'm sure I can say one or two things that will be useful. So I will personally propose that all noise be focused through dialogue. Dialogue of any form will get people talking. When people start talking together, they will get to some conclusion. I would suggest that the people of the Southwest Northwest province lobby for a referendum whereby they can determine or decide their future, if that ever happens. I will also say for those parents who are capable, I strongly believe education is fundamental and very important. For those parents who are capable, I do understand it is absolutely impossible for school to go on in the Southwest and Northwest regions in Cameroon. For those parents who are capable, they should send their children to school in the French-speaking part of Cameroon. I will also say this specifically to a lot of young men out there. There are a lot of young men out there who think they are not fighting. They don't call themselves Ambazonians. But then when they see military, they expose themselves. The army is there to shoot. They see any young person. So you better hide if you see the military coming. Don't stay out. It is war, and it is no joke. You are either killed or you get killed. So that is very important, especially to the young men. I will insist on this point. The other point is to keep the fighting away from the hospitals and for those schools which are going on. I know Sacred Heart Mankong is going on, so please keep the fight away from those institutions as well as from those hospitals. And I think the founder of this problem is the current president of Cameroon. any way that can get him out of power is the beginning of a solution, or is better than even a solution. And finally, there is a lot of information distortion out there. Please, if you are going to say something out there, don't tell lies. Give the most accurate and honest information. It is absolutely inappropriate. This is what people like Chiroma them do. They do manipulate the population and call us and call the diaspora manipulators. You guys should also stop manipulating the people. Tell the people the truth. Don't lie to the people. Every day we hear 1,000 soldiers have been killed. How many soldiers do we have in Cameroon that 1,000 have been killed? So let's be honest with our people. I know people are being killed. Soldiers are killed. Civilians are being killed. But let's be honest with the numbers. Let's stop telling lies and fooling people. It is not safe out there. So don't tell people 1,000 people have been killed and very soon the government is going to retreat. They are not going to retreat from what we see. So that is what I have to say today with respect to the solution point of the solution proposal part of the debate. Unless Omar has something to say, then we probably have got to the end of the debate. Omar, do you have something to say?
You actually covered the points, the solutions beautifully, Dr. Terence Agbo. So I've got nothing else to add besides the fact that once again, this is an intellectual exercise. There's no right and wrong. It's not about who wins or who loses. It's just a platform to share ideas, bounce ideas, and in a civil and respectful manner, like our debaters have done.
Yeah.
So to the audience, calling people names and finger pointing, it's absolutely not necessary. Like I said in the beginning, if you really feel strongly about a point, you can come up here and debate and see if it is easy. It is not easy. So respect these people. We appreciate them. They've done beautifully well. It's not easy. Some of you in the comment section cannot debate. So we've respected you enough. So respect people and respect people debating here.
Yeah.
None of this will be tolerated any longer. That's it. You've had your final chance. That's it. Last warning. Don't insult people here. We've had enough of you insulting people. So thanks a lot, Cecilia. Thanks a lot, Tres Catorce. That was beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you very much to everyone. And so parents, please.
Are we not getting no closing remarks?
No, you guys will do. We'll
Okay.
definitely do.
I just had to make sure because we
send your children to school in the French-speaking part of the country. And young men, stay away from the streets. Don't expose yourself to the soldiers because you will get killed. And to end the debate,
let them give their closing remarks. Let them give their closing remarks. We'll start with Tres Catorce, then we'll go to Cecilia, please.
All right. Thank you, panel. Thank you, Dr. Agbo. Thank you, Omar. And of course, thank you, Mrs. Sambo, for accepting the invitation to debate a humble federalist like myself on this platform. It's been a pleasure. It's been impressive. You're a phenomenal woman. Your ability to hold your own, it's impeccable. My closing remarks. I still don't think as a country we should divide ourselves. I think we're stronger together. I don't believe in the useless slogan, indivisible, whatever those people say, but united and indivisible, whatever. We are still strong as one people with our diverse culture. And we could have that diverse culture like Canada. I have actually taken a lot of time to study Canada. And I asked myself, why can we not model after Canada? Canada has actually had a quest for independence the last 40 years until, I think, Dr. Terence, correct me, I think 2008 was the last time, or 2010 was the last time they had a referendum on independence from the French section in Canada. They have had it for the last 40 years. So this is not, Cameroon is not unique in the problem of identity trying to sort themselves. Canada has been fighting this for the last, and they don't pick up arms, they just go to the ballot. And there's always that question, should the Francophone part of Canada separate from the Anglophone part? And I think the last time was 2008 or 2010 that they decided that the ballot is not going to include that. We need to be mature, we need to be responsible. And again, until those who are Ambazonians in the diaspora, if you want the international community to take you serious, start giving up your passports, start giving up your identity, and return home to fight for what you believe. Unto such a point, then there is no fight for independence, because those boys who are fighting at some point would run out of gas. And when they run out of gas, La Republique is gonna come. And even our small asking, our begging for federation is not gonna be listened at that time. Let's give federation an opportunity. If federation fails, then I will join you guys in the fight for independence. And that's my last word.
Okay, Tres Catos, you are not welcome. I believe this is my turn, and thank you very much for the opportunity to come up. And I just want to use this opportunity to encourage every Ambazonian and to tell them that they should stand their ground. That the only thing that will bring a final solution to this is to beat the enemy and chase them out of our territory. That is the only way. They will go out of our territory, and don't be worried or be worried about the assertion that nobody recognizes Ambazonia. Let me tell you this. When Kosovo declared its independence in 2018, nobody recognized it. Yes, they took the boldness and they declared their independence. And they are today being recognized. Out of the 193 countries in the UN, 110 recognize Kosovo. Out of the 28 countries in the EU, 23 recognize Kosovo. Out of the 57 countries in the Organization of Islamic Cooperation or States, 35 recognize the independence of Kosovo. So we cannot just be saying, and it didn't come in the space of 1 year. It didn't just come like that. There are many African countries, I can be listing them, that have recognized Kosovo as an independent state. So don't be frightened that there is no country that recognizes you. Oh no, they will come running. When you make Ambazonia a contender, they will come running. So my encouragement is that replace the den guns with what the guys need. Give them what they need. Rise and be your brother's supporters. Take care of them. Don't sit and be frightened. There is no way a federation can work in Cameroon. Kobia, even in his grave, will turn and say it cannot work. His spirit will haunt southern Cameroonians to make sure that they cannot federate with La Republique du Cameroon because the systems are unworkable. The history doesn't work together. The educational system doesn't work. The legal systems, they don't work together. So there is nothing. Make sure you become a people of your own. Continue. Make sure that others recognize you as a people. The United Nations Resolution 1608 make you a people. So don't allow any person to influence you. And if you allow Tres Catos to influence you, that federation will work. I am telling you, go take a glass of cold water. It's not going to work. Only independence is going to solve the problem we are having in southern Cameroon, and that will mean chasing these people out of our territory. And you and I have the duty, the responsibility to make sure that that happens. Our children will get the best education when the time comes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your patience. We very much thank our audience. Thank you very, very much for a very, very wonderful job, Cecilia and Tres Catos. You guys did an awesome job. And I believe the audience out there very much enjoyed the debate. So thank you everyone for joining us. We have come to the end of our debate, and I was your moderator for the debate today, and my other co-moderator is Omar Bayen. Thank you very much, and take care. We'll let you know when the next debate will be taking place, as well as the topic. And thank you very, very much for our two contestants for participating in the debate. Take care.
We need more of this debate about independence and federation. We catch us, no other person.